going to the football field. Obviously, you played for Bill Belichick, who I guess most people will consider him the greatest coach of all time at the NFL level. What was it like playing for him in the time that you were with the Patriots? And I guess what are some like memorable things that you have from your time being coached by Belichick?
Just his demeanor. I mean, he's so calm. You could be so afraid of the guy because he's so great, but I mean, he was so even keeled. I mean, he was all about the result and execution, and that was a really different take on like coming to football practice, coming to work. Like, sure, he chewed you out, but ultimately, he didn't have to go rah rah or go like raise his voice or try cute stuff like sayings on the wall or that. Like his whole thing was about execution, and his whole thing was about everybody doing their job. And so in a way, like going to play for New England is a really liberating thing because you just worry about taking care of what taking care of your business, your assignment. And I always tell people this with Bill Belichick, he could walk around the field and coach each position on the field as well and better than the position coach. And I saw him do that. Like, I'd be over in defensive line individual, which is a bunch of D linemen, a D line coach helping kind of like coach up the guys for 15 minutes before the practice. And Bill would do a lap around the field and he'd stop tight ends, defensive linemen, wide receivers. And I would be doing something and hear his voice. I'm like, oh crap, Bill's here. Better pick it up. He's watching our individual. Not really, because I was working really hard anyway. But he, his voice kind of like made you perk up like, oh, the head ball coach is over here. And guess what? He has a really good coaching point that actually helps me get better. And something I haven't heard before. So holistically, the way he approached the entire game, I think sets him apart.
Definitely. I mean, and listen, I mean, we as media, as fans, we only know him from just seeing him in press conferences and seeing, oh, he has this cold demeanor. He's such a bad guy, all that kind of stuff. But it's good to hear, though, obviously your personal experience that he is, a cool guy, calm guy. He's able to help you guys, just coach you guys up, which is great to hear. But
what you see is what you get. A lot of coaches, you're not sure what they really think of you. You're not sure, like, they could glad hand you or, he's going to tell you exactly the truth. And I think that's a really valuable thing.
Just be straight up with you.
Yeah.
So obviously, moving to you, and this story is still insane to me to this day. You were playing with the Patriots in 2017. You were part of the most historic Super Bowl comeback in NFL history against the Falcons. You win with Tom Brady in 2017. You leave the Patriots. You go to the Philadelphia Eagles, and you play against your former team in 2018, and you beat the Patriots and win back-to-back Super Bowl championships. So what was that like for you to be with Bill Belichick, with the Pats, win that Super Bowl, leave, and then go play your former team, see all your buddies that you were with last year, Brady, Edelman, et cetera, and then beat them with the Eagles and Nick Foles?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of pressure to actually like follow through and win. There was so much build up to the game, and you had to pinch yourself and say, like, can't believe we're here. That was such a roller coaster season in Philly. Nobody believed we'd be there. For everybody else, I mean, I can't speak to the rest of the guys, but I could imagine getting the Super Bowl. You're like, depending on who you are, hey, it would be the best thing in the world if we win, but if we lose, we tried. Something like that. Not for me and not for LeGarrette Blount, because, I mean, we would have looked like idiots. I mean, we knew there was a risk in walking away from New England in free agency, especially – it's not like we were walking away for Kansas City type team right now or anything. Like, we were an unknown commodity. The Eagles were. And so for us to join that team, to get there, to actually beat our old team, like the flip side of that coin would have been pretty ugly. So it was a big relief that we beat them. But it was like out of a movie. I just could not believe that we were there. And then I could not believe who was standing on the other sideline.
Yeah. I mean, and again, that for me, it was just like, seeing that and seeing you guys celebrating after that victory, just like you said, it's like a scene out of a movie. It's like you play with your one team, you win, come back, beat them again. Did you, when you were on the field pregame, did you kind of like go say what's up to some of your former teammates? Were you kind of like being friendly with them, or was it no, all business? We're gonna
No, I mean, like,
how was it?
It's funny. The week leading up, we were in Minneapolis and we were at the Mall of America, which is just basically it was 7 degrees outside, like at the warmest, and then like on either end of the Mall of America, there were 2 hotels, and the Pats were on one and we were on the other. And like, so you'd run to guys like walking by Benihana's or something, or like, getting a bite to eat. And, everybody handles that stuff differently. Me personally, like, if I know you, I know you. Like, we're cool. I don't have to act tough. Like, I'll be tough on Sunday. I saw Devin McCourty leading up. I saw certain guys in the mall. Pregame, it's such a zoo. Like, there's so many people in the field. It's almost like a Where's Waldo to even find like people that you know. So I was just warming up, ran into a couple guys, but you definitely on game day kind of there's this fake like I don't know you thing a little
Yeah.
bit with a lot of guys. So I didn't want to walk up to a guy who was in like I'm not talking to anybody mode and create an awkward situation where I'm like, dude, it's me. You know me. Stop acting like a tough guy.
Yeah. I know.
I just, for the most part on game day, put my head down, dapped up a couple guys I knew. But during the week, like I would have gone out to eat with a guy that I knew. Like, that people make too big a deal of you shouldn't even see people you play until after the game. Like my brother, I played my brother. I went to dinner the night before. Like it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on, obviously your former teammate, again, Tom Brady, as most people consider him the GOAT of football, greatest quarterback of all time. He officially retired after this season, after losing to the Rams in the divisional round.
That's right.
Do you think there's a chance that Tom Brady could come back and play yet again? Is he officially done with football, or do you think he'll come back?
I do think there's a chance. I think if I had to set the odds or put a percentage on it, I'd put it at like 55%. Now, I don't know that out of any like special knowledge. I don't know that for any reason other than I just think he's so good. I still think he's so good. Like, look at the last game he played. He didn't play that well throwing the football, but man, he moved around in the pocket great. And he had a historic season, even as a 44-year-old. So I do think that when the first opportunity arises, he might look at things and go, all right, I feel good. But no one knows what's in his head. He's such a mystery. Like, as personable and as brand conscious as he is, he's also like a black box. So when I first heard the leak, I was like, nobody scoops Tom Brady. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody's like, oh, we got inside info on what Tom wants to do. Like, everything he does is calculated. And it just didn't seem like Tom to me not to have a big thing. And that's not to say he's into the big thing, but he's just the GOAT. So I do think there's a chance he comes back.
Yeah, and like you said, when it was first announced by ESPN saying that Schefter broke the news, I was like, well, I feel like Brady would want to say this himself. And then like when it came out later that he came out with his own his own like press thing that he released on Instagram saying, okay, I'm officially retiring.
That made sense.
Yeah, that made more sense than saying, okay, Schefter is going to break it. I'm like, yeah, I mean, listen, everybody went into the offseason with a kind of thought, okay, yeah, this could be Brady's last year.
Exactly.
We're done, but we wait till we hear it from the horse's mouth, and we heard it from Brady, and that's when it was official. And, to touch on what you said, he played pretty well. I mean, I'd say for a 44-year-old leading the league in yards and touchdowns, I'd say that's a pretty good season. So not that I was shocked that he retired, but the man can still play football. And we all know that. So
yeah, he'll be back. I mean, 55% chance he'll be back.
55% chance. You heard it here first. My final question to you. Obviously, you had your brother Kyle Long that you played in the NFL with. Your dad Howie Long was an NFL player. Has Howie kind of been like your biggest influence on your career? And if not, who would you say was your biggest influence for your career?
I mean, Dad's been a big influence, whether he tried to be or not. And he's a great dad. He's a great friend to me, and he's been a great, kind of somebody that I can bounce things off of as a football player. He knows what I've been through. He knows what I'm going through after a loss, after a win. He knows how I played. Like, parents oftentimes will tell you you're great no matter what, or my dad, he's going to shoot me straight. And he knows if I play well or not. So that's a huge influence. Also, just naturally, the expectations that he set on me by being great, like just his example of being great forced me to try to pursue that. And listen, Hall of Famer, 13-year career, like I wasn't him, like I set out to play and I was like, chances are you could have a hell of a career. You could win big, like beyond your way, and not wear that gold jacket, not be him. And that's fine with me. He did so much for me, like just setting an example. I would take the pressure, the comparisons, hey, it's not good enough for some people because of who your dad. I would take that in a heartbeat over it not being the way it is. And if I had to credit anybody outside him, I'd say just my teammates, man, like James Hall, Fred Robbins, You know, CJ Ayu, like some guys, you know, Leroy Glover, Leonard Little, like guys like that I was lucky enough in an old league that was more veteran kind of heavy before the new CBA. Like I had a bunch of 10-year vets in my locker room. It was like I had a bunch of dads, like new dads again. You know, it's like if you have good veterans in your locker room, you are so lucky in the NFL. And if they're veterans that take you under their wing, and that's why I always tried to pay that forward and do that for younger guys late in my career, because I had guys that took care of me.
Definitely. Chris, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate you, giving me some insider scoops on Belichick and just your experiences in the NFL. So thank you so much.
Happy to pop on, man.